You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Hello to everyone, and welcome to another radio and YouTube broadcast of Diakonia, a call to service. Diakonia is the Greek word for service, and it's also the root word for deacon. My name is Deacon Richard Hudzik, and I'm proud and privileged to serve the Archdiocese of Chicago as Vicar for Deacons in the office of the Diaconate out in beautiful Forest Park, Illinois. That's where our offices are. And I also get to work and pray with the good people at Mary Mother of Divine Grace Parish in beautiful Westchester. And as usual, joining me is Deacon David Brentzik, and something new since a little bit of amelioration, or a lot of amelioration of the COVID crisis. Joining in the studio is Deacon David Brentzik, Associate Director of the office, and also assigned as permanent deacon at Holy Guardian Angels Parish in Brookfield and LaGrange Park. Good day to you, David.
Good day, Richard.
And this is a show that the Archdiocese has graciously granted to our office, the Office of the Diaconate, and it's dedicated to talking about how the call to service is for all of God's people, not just the deacons. But it's a show about deacons, show by deacons, not so much a show about deacons, but it's a show that we endeavor to bring to you, to invite you to try on for size, so to speak, some of the ministry that our deacons are doing, or some of the prayer practices that we pursue, just to get you to walk with us in our common walk and a life that's animated by our love of Jesus. And for today's show, we have a well-known Chicago priest, former Vicar General, former rector of Mundelein Seminary, and currently director of the Joseph and Mary Retreat House. And joining us then that can only be Monsignor John Canary. So welcome, Monsignor.
Richard, Dave, nice to be with you.
Great, and thank you for taking time to be with us. And we want to talk about two things today. One is primarily about the retreat house. Deacons, clergy are expected under canon law to go on an annual retreat. So that's a spiritual practice we would like to encourage not only the priests and the deacons, but also all Christians, that it's good for you. And we're going to pursue a little bit of that with you, Monsignor. And then also, since we've got you here, I'd also like to spend a couple of minutes talking about St. John of the Cross, one of my favorites, and I believe one of yours as well. So we don't often get to talk to rectors of seminaries, so we're gonna pick your brain for all it's worth. But that's the agenda for today. But before we get going, let's personalize our guest. Aside from your considerable accomplishments as a priest and administrator, who are you? Where do you come from? What's the family situation?
So I was born on the south side of Chicago, Dick. I'm a native Chicagoan, and my parents lived in Christ the King Parish on the south side there.
Okay.
There are 4 children. I'm the only boy. I have 3 sisters. So went to Christ the King Grammar School, and then not unusual at that time for young men who had some interest in the priesthood to go to the high school seminary, Quigley, At that time, there was only one Quigley, and that was downtown. And I went through Quigley Seminary, and then in 1961, they opened the college seminary. Was in Niles at that time. Was affiliated with Loyola, Niles College of Loyola University. I went there, and then I went to Mundelein after that. As a student, I finished up my college at Mundelein Seminary, and then we went into the major seminary for 4 years of theology, and I was ordained in 1969.
Okay. Beautiful. Now, how about parish assignments? You weren't ordained to be vicar general initially.
No. So after ordination, I was assigned to St. Irenaeus Parish, which is also on the far south side.
Park Forest. Forest. My wife is a graduate of St. Irenaeus grade school. Yeah.
Terrific. Yeah. So yes, I was out there as full-time parish priest and was there for 3 years. And then after that, I was assigned to the college seminary back at Niles, teaching theology. And then after 3 years of that, I was assigned to Mundelein Seminary. They told me for only 5 years, Dick, but I ended up being there for 17 years.
Oh.
And both worked in formation, and you mentioned St. John of the Cross. That was one of the courses that I taught at Mundelein during the years there. And after Mundelein, in 1992, I went to live at the cathedral, and I worked as a vicar for priests for 3 years. And then Cardinal Bernardine asked me to go back to the seminary in 1995, and I was there for 11 years. And then Cardinal George asked me to work with him as vicar general. And my last 7 years, I was there till 2013.
Wow. That's quite a path, and now you're up in still in Mundelein on the eastern side of the lake at the Joseph and Mary Retreat House. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dave and get into some nuts and bolts as to about this beautiful retreat house. Dave, you want to pursue that?
Sure. Monsignor, how long has the retreat house been at Mundelein?
You know the campus, Dave, and we're on one side of the lake up here, and the campus as a seminary was founded over 100 years ago. And then in 1950, Cardinal Stritch wanted to have a place where the priests of the diocese would come. So for over 70 years, this facility, the Joseph and Mary Retreat House, which was formerly known as the Cardinal Stritch Retreat House, has been on the campus and serving the various constituents that come here.
And the first liturgical celebration in my memory of the Cardinal Stritch Retreat House was an evening prayer service that the men who were ordained in the class of 1952, Advent of 1951, I think is marks the beginning of the opening of the retreat house.
That is right. You have a great memory, Dick. That is true.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but.
So are the retreats just limited to the clergy, or is it retreats open to anybody?
Oh, yeah, Dave. At the beginning, the purpose of the retreat house was for the priests of the diocese. And you may know this, but the seminary is actually a provincial seminary, meaning it serves the other dioceses in the province of Illinois as well. And the retreat house eventually was open to the priests from other dioceses in the province, but in its origin, it was for the priests. Then after Vatican II, when they restored the permanent diaconate, the retreat house also was intended to serve the permanent deacons from the archdiocese and their wives. And that continues to this day. And really, some of it began when Deacon Dick Hudzik was director here. And It expanded a bit when Monsignor Dennis Lyle was the director of the retreat house, but the retreat house began to open up to other people from the diocese and other groups from the diocese, parish groups. And today we serve anyone from the Archdiocese, both for personal retreats and group retreats. We still sponsor 11 retreats for priests each year, and we sponsor 11 retreats for permanent deacons and their wives. But the retreat house is open and available, and the Cardinal wants people from the diocese to use this wonderful facility for their own retreats.
Great. And Monsignor, can you explain a little bit what is a retreat for people who may not know exactly what's involved with that?
So, Dave, you may remember over the entrance in Latin.
Venite seorsum.
That's very good. So, come away. And in some ways, that's what a retreat is. It's time to come away. We all know how busy people are. Just the ordinary demands of daily life, that press in on people, take their time and their energy appropriately. But there is a way that all of us in the routine and the many pressures and responsibilities that we have, we can, in some ways, kind of become numb to some of the deeper things in our lives. The foundation pieces, a real understanding of who we are and what we're about and the purpose of our lives, and even the deeper relationships of our lives, the wonderful people who we love and who love us. After a while, in the busyness of life, we can, in some ways, become numb to it all. And certainly the deepest relationship of our lives is the relationship that we have with a loving God. And so the retreat house and the retreats are a place and a time to come away and recover some of those deeper dimensions of our lives. An image that I've used, Dave, is a biblical image of the fire. And the fire for the people of old was an image of God's presence, whether it was the fire in the burning bush, God speaking to Moses, or as the people of old, when they journeyed from their place of slavery to a place of freedom, they were led during the day by a pillar of cloud, but at night it was a pillar of fire. And we all know the story of Pentecost, when the fire descended on the apostles, the tongues of fire, the giving of God's Spirit to them. So that image of the fire is an image for God's presence and his love for all of us. And in the many years that I worked with priests, what I came to know was that they all were really genuine men of faith, but not all of them were able to stay close to the fire. They have kind of that living sense of God's presence in their life. And it wasn't that they lost their faith, but they had wandered away from the fire a bit. And I think that's possible and true for all of us, in the busyness of life. So the retreats are a time to come away and to regroup a bit and to, again, enkindle that fire in our hearts.
All right, I think we're going to be going for a little break now, so we'll see Monsignor and talk a little more about retreats on the other side.
Super.
Catholic Charities Veterans Employment Services help veterans find and maintain employment through job readiness training, resume writing assistance, mock interviews, and job placement counseling. We work with a wide array of employers and community partners to help veterans reach their career goals. We owe a debt of gratitude to all of our veterans for the sacrifices they made to serve our nation. It is our privilege now to assist them. To learn more about Catholic Charities Veterans Employment Program in Cook County, call 773-808-2954. In Lake County, call 847-782-4219. You can also learn more at CatholicCharities.net. To all United States veterans, thank you for your service.
We are at the Most Blessed Trinity Parish Food Pantry in Waukegan.
And here we care for people in need. There was definitely an uptick in the needs for services.
We doubled our volume after COVID hit, from servicing about 250 families a week to about 500 a week. We supply bread, tortillas, vegetables, milk, cheese, butter, proteins, fish, chicken, eggs.
Well, the Annual Catholic Appeal has been a tremendous help to us, especially over the past year and a half.
Without the Annual Catholic Appeal, we might have to close our doors. Our parish is the largest one in the Archdiocese, but is very poor. We think about food and we think about nourishment, but we also nourish the soul, provide that connection to humanity.
The good works here are made possible through the Annual Catholic Appeal. Make your gift at annualcatholicappeal.com.
Did you know that Catholic Charities accepts car donations? If you're ready to free up space in your garage and put a stop to all those expenses that go along with owning a car, we will gratefully accept your donation, whether the car is running or not. You choose a pickup time that is convenient for you, and we will make the donation as easy as possible, free of charge. You'll receive a charitable donation receipt as well. We accept all types of vehicles nationwide, and you will know that your donation is made to Catholic Charities, an agency you can trust. To learn more about donating your car, call 877-786-4483. That's 877-786-4483. Thank you.
Back for the second half, the final push towards the finish line. Deacon Richard Hudzik, joined by Deacon David Brentzik, and we have joining us via Zoom is Monsignor John Canary, director of the Joseph and Mary Retreat House. And we're talking with the good Monsignor about all things connected with retreats, and we're going to squeeze in a little bit of time for St. John of the Cross, and I will shut up with my introduction, and Dave, continue on with your examination of this witness.
Monsignor, can you tell us what are there different types of retreats? Are all retreats silent, or is there someone giving talks, or what are retreats made of?
And that's a good question, Dave. There are different kinds of retreats. So the permanent deacon retreats and the retreats for priests are usually what is called preached retreats. There's a retreat master who comes and gives talks, usually 3 times a day. And then there's plenty of time for personal, both reflection and enjoyment of these beautiful grounds up here. A second type of retreat is what's called a silent retreat. So during the year, we sponsor a 30-day silent retreat that's in the month of July. It's open to anyone who would have the background and the capacity to do 30 days of silence. Also in the fall, we sponsor a 5-day silent retreat. The silent retreat does not have formal preaching conferences, but it does provide for individual time each day for the retreat person to meet with a director just to talk about how things are going. And the rest of the time is spent in silence, even during meals. There's some music being played, but for the most part, when people come on a silent retreat, either a short one, a 5-day retreat, or a long one. They're in silence and solitude for most of that time. In addition to that, we, especially recently, have had parish groups coming. In a few weeks, we have a group from Santa Maria del Popolo Parish, and there will be 50 of them coming for the weekend. They bring in their own retreat master, and it's a more of a discussion retreat. There is some input, but it allows the leadership teams the time and the space to enter into small group discussion. And that possibility for parish groups, whether they're small groups like a parish staff, even for an overnight or for a weekend, or parish councils or finance councils or leadership teams, all of those possibilities are open to any of our parishes in the Archdiocese. The individual private retreats are a little bit different. A person may want to come for a day, or come for an overnight, come for a weekend, or even for a week. And all they have to do is simply call and arrange a time that's convenient to them, time that would work for us. And then they can come and make their own personal private retreat. They have the option of meeting with a director if they would like, but they don't have to meet with a director. They can simply be on their own.
Monsignor, what's
Those
the
are a variety of retreats.
what's the phone number at Joseph and Mary if someone wanted to make a call to reserve?
Sure. It's on our website under Joseph and Mary, but the number is 847-566-6060. And as I say, it's on the website.
And the website is
The Joseph and Mary Retreat House, yes.
.org.
.org.
So if I wanted to, as an individual, go on retreat, I could call the retreat house, or I could maybe contact my pastor and see about if a group from our parish could go up to Joseph and Mary for a retreat. Is that correct?
That is right. And that is encouraged, and we would delight in hosting any of the groups or individuals who would like to come away for the time of prayer and time of renewal.
Monsignor, let me ask a question. If I'm just cannot envision myself with having the time away, family circumstances, work circumstances, health, what have you. You're a priest of many, many years, and you've nurtured spiritualities of people over the decades. What do you tell a person who yearns for closeness with God but can't make that physical journey to a retreat house? What hope is there for them? What do you recommend?
So, Dick, again, that's a very good question, and one that even the seminarians face when they first come to the seminary. How do they begin to build a closer relationship, and what are some of the elements? Certainly, some kind of prayer time in a regular way can help that. And what we try to encourage the seminarians and teach them is some of the habits of prayer, simple prayer. And one of those habits is obviously spending some time with the scriptures. We not only believe that is the word of God, but it's a living word. It's a way that we can reflect on our relationship with God, but also reflect on our lives. So there are a number of tools that people can use that help them pray with the scriptures. One very popular publication is called the Magnificat, and it has usually the daily scripture readings in it, but there are other publications as well. Not a matter just of picking up the Bible, but if we can kind of have a publication that helps us each day pray with the Word of God, that can be helpful. Another simple thing that we try to teach our seminarians is at the end of the day, simply to take 5 minutes and look back at the day and divide the day, to look at the morning, to look at the afternoon, to look at the evening with a simple question. What were the blessings of today? How have we experienced God's grace, not only personally, but in all that's going on? And the purpose there is to try and foster a spirit of gratitude, an awareness of how God's grace is there for us day in and day out. Another kind of prayer for people is more formal, in the sense traditional, either saying the rosary, or if it's possible for people to make stations, especially during Lent. In the rosary and in the stations, you keep revisiting the major events of our own faith life in the person of Jesus. And sometimes that can be a very rich way of people drawing closer to Christ.
So one of the things I'm hearing is this daily attention, that we can sometimes put roadblocks in front of ourselves of, it's too big of a project. I can't do it. It's unfathomable. But what I'm hearing you saying is, well, the effort is something minimal, but best done daily, so that we don't lose our forward progress, if that's the word. It's the daily attention to immerse ourselves in God's presence with us.
Very much, Dick. And as I say, for that morning prayer, I don't think you need more than 10 minutes. And for the evening prayer, you don't need more than 5 minutes. But it is the habit.
Yeah.
I've
been building up the show as partially a discussion of St. John of the Cross, and the guy in the control booth is just waving his fingers at me. We got like 120 seconds left, but let me just set this up so I don't disserve the illustrious St. John of the Cross. But tell me, Monsignor, one of this is a setup for you, and that is, can we not look to our saints as models that we might adapt or look to for wisdom in this daily path? And John of the Cross, we're probably not going to be living his life, but there's wisdom there that is accessible to us. In 45 seconds or less, why should I read John of the Cross, or why should I learn about him?
So, Dick, with John of the Cross, for me personally, but also the other saints, they've walked the talk, as they say. They know a path into a deeper relationship with God. And even though their language and their culture may be different than our own, knowing the path is a good thing. And like in St. John of the Cross, he sums up all of his writings at the end of Dark Night, Book 2, in 10 moments. And the moments are very common moments that all of us experience. And his insight into the way that God's grace is at work in all of the moments of our life is invaluable. So I think walking the path and knowing the ways that God works with us can be found in the saints.
And for many of us are familiar with Teresa of Avila. And so if John and Teresa are, in a sense, a matched set, you can't go wrong with working with either of them. But we're going to have you back, Monsignor, if we can impose on you again and do just a show on John of the Cross. So thank you so much for joining with us. And for those interested, Joseph and Mary, 847-566-6060. It's also on the internet. You can check their webpage. So thank you, Monsignor. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Monsignor.
Thank you, Archdiocese.
Thank you.
For to sit at my right hand